How do you get people to finish watching your VSL so that they buy your stuff? Well, that's a really damn good question, and this is my third and final part video in everything to do with writing a killer video sales letter for your next info product. So how the heck do you write a VSL? Well, if you haven't already, go check out my first two videos where I talk about the planning phase, and the second video is all about the first 6 stages of how do you hook the audience and then keep them engaged. Today, we're gonna be talking about how you keep them engaged and they buy at the very end, because that's the most important part. They have to stick around until the end. And just in case you don't know what the hell I'm saying, because of this weird Australian accent is throwing you off, a video sales letter or a VSL is one of the best ways to get your sales message consumed by your customers. And why is that? Well, you're on YouTube right now, right? It's a video platform. It's pretty easy to consume, and I think it's the same going for VSL. So anyways, I stress and I firmly believe that a video sales letter is one of the best ways to get consumed. Why? Well, frankly, I don't know. I don't really understand how anyone can read a 20, 30, 40 page sales letter from start to finish. And I'm someone who writes this for clients. I wouldn't be able to start from start to finish. I'm too distracted. All right, but I'm going on a bit of a tangent right there. So where was I? Oh yeah, that's right. A video sales letter is one of the best ways to get people engaged through your sales message, but how do you keep people to stick around until the end, you know, where your pitch is? Now this last part is probably one of the most crucial, because when you think about it, you can get 15 minutes through a video sales letter. Let's just say it's 20 minutes long, and they get distracted by a cat video or I don't know, TikTok or something else. And that's your last 5 minutes to pitch basically. You've lost them. And that is what you and me are gonna be talking about today. The last part, how do you keep them hooked? How do you make sure that they stay around to the end of your pitch? And then how do you make your pitch actually good and not too salesy and pushy, and make sure people get off the butts, give you their credit cards and buy your thing, or book in for a call, or whatever you want to sell. And once again, I know that YouTube is absolutely stuffed with airy-fairy content that tells you a lot of theory, but not many people actually writing VSLs for clients. So you're in good hands, you're with me. I'm not here to sell you my copywriting services. I'm just someone who's documenting everything along the journey, and you get to benefit along the way. And if you love the idea of following along with someone in the trenches every day, you should go ahead and join my list. Shameless plug. All right, that's enough self-promotion for the beginning. Who am I? Why should you listen to me? Well, if you're new to the channel, my name is Jules Dan. I'm an email list manager and a freelance copywriter with, get this, over $10 million in client results. I guess I can say I'm legit now, can't I? So what we're gonna do today in this video is that I'm gonna break down, there's actually 12 steps to a really good VSL. In the last video, I spoke about the first 6 steps. In this, we're gonna talk about the final 6 steps, from steps 7 to 12, I think that's right. So what I'm trying to say is, if you haven't already checked out part 1 and 2, where part 1, where we're trying to plan out the whole thing, gonna make things so much easier when you have a plan. And then part 2, how to actually get people sticking around so they wanna hear your message. If you haven't already listened to those, go back and watch it. There's a link in the description with that playlist. But you know, if you just landed on this video and you want to tag along for the ride because you saw some sexy title, like, that's cool. We can stick around. We can stick around. Now in today's video, this is the fun part. This is where we're going to use video number 1's mechanism part. So yeah, if you haven't already gone video number 1, go back to number 1. But we're now going to use that unique mechanism in today's video and have a bit of fun with it. And it's a bit of a cool story how I discovered this. When I was launching this new product for a client, it's called the paid discovery method. I remember there was literally nothing to go off in terms of a product. So there's about 4 booklets. There were some questions that were frankly quite dry. So as a marketer, it's our responsibility to take a really crappy looking stone and then polish it up and make it look really pretty. So that's what we had to do. But anyways, back to the quick story here. So the price tag was around $500 to $600. And I just knew that most people are used to seeing insane offers. If you've read Alex Hormozi's book, now everyone knows how to create a really good offer. And people are used to getting free stuff, free stuff, free stuff. So I knew, even though the problem this product solved was amazing, the deliverables needed to be shined up, sexified up. And this is where I took a bit of a risk. I turned the features of the product and then turned them into a framework that people could follow along with. And I used the framework to teach the method and the problem we solved to sell the product. So what do I mean by this? Well, I actually took this concept from ClickFunnels. I've mentioned this in some other videos as well. They do a really good job of creating a framework for an end result people want. So for these people, they wanted to get away from ghosting and price shopping prospects and dead-end discovery calls. So why not show them a framework, a method to stop doing that, and then include your product as part of the framework. So then that way people are like, oh, I need this thing, rather than having to sell, oh, you're gonna get this amount of booklets, you're gonna get these questions. Like, that's just not appealing. So, and that's why I'm gonna help you unpack how to create this framework. We're gonna use that unique mechanism from the first video. We're gonna mesh it all into today's final 6 steps. And then we're gonna close with some urgency, some proof. That way people stick around to the end, pull out the credit cards and buy your thing. So this is gonna really help you out. If you've got a product, you absolutely can't add any more bonuses because you feel like you're just giving away everything or you're just literally maxed out. This video is really gonna help you because you're gonna find how we can turn your unique mechanism, turn it into something really sexy and then intertwine as part of your framework. So let's get into my computer and I'm gonna show you line by line these last 6 steps. That way you can recreate this for your own VSL, for your next info product. G'day and welcome. We are back to the second part of this video of the VSLs, diving into the computer. Here are the last 6 steps. These are the steps that you need to help people stay engaged with the message, feel like I really need this product, hand over the credit card. And before we walked through on part 1, if you haven't rechecked part 1, which is actually part 2 of this series, are these 6 steps, okay? You need these 6 steps first. So if you haven't checked out video 2, go check that out right now. We are now going to cover the final 6 steps. This one is super important, is to bring up objections and solve with proof. I can't systematically say at this step, you have to bring this up. Ideally, I'm doing this throughout the whole conversation, throughout the whole sales letter, okay? When it makes sense, it flows, I bring up something and then someone might think, well, doesn't that mean this? And I'll show you what I mean. So let's look at this. I've made some big, bold claims being like, this new discovery call method makes it a win-win for people every time. You get this guarantee, it's amazing. And then I say, well, this all sounds great, Troy, but how would anyone ever agree to pay me $500 for a discovery call? And then I acknowledge what they're thinking. I say, it's a great question. How do you sell a paid discovery when prospects are used to getting on free strategy calls? And that's why I've made selling it front and center, not just running it, but actually selling it. So you're not just left with theory, you can actually walk away with step-by-step, word for word. Okay, now I'm just sort of like embellishing the benefits of what they're going to get, future pacing it, that sort of thing. And then you'll surprise yourself with the quality of clients and you'll attract these after following our 3-step TPP framework, which is short for triage, plan, subscribe, prescribe. Then this is where we're introducing the mechanism. Now, the mechanism, if you haven't really heard the story about this, I'll go over it quickly. So my client's product was probably 4 worksheets, a few questions, and some videos. And for me to feel like someone wants to hand over, I think $1,000 for it, just didn't seem like a good exchange. But the problem it solved was super handy. Like I mentioned before, you charge, you get to test drive out clients, you close people at crazy conversion rates, you have months of runway to work with these people. But how do I sexify it up? Well, I figured the best way to do this is to sort of teach them a framework of how this is possible, make the product part of the framework, and then throughout each part of the framework, you sort of explain, here's what you're going to get to help make this happen, okay? So the mechanism I've done here is triage, plan, prescribe. And I've never done this. I took an absolute risk doing this, and it paid off. So if you haven't already, go back to part 1 where we talk about creating your own unique mechanism, and I'll explain why. So what I've done here. Walk through your unique mechanism into 3 parts, explain how each part of the mechanism solves specific customer problems. Okay, this is massive. So number 1, triage is the first stage of this unique mechanism. And I called it TPP because we have to make it our own, okay? The triage call is nothing new. The discovery call, paid discovery is nothing new, but the TPP coined it, that's ours. You can do the same. So first off, triage. I immediately address a concern and a problem I have. This is how you put an end to blank. Plus it stops you from blank. These are things that help you avoid pain. Okay. The best part is it's like it helps you avoid pain, and then like benefit. I've made all these claims. Okay. All these claims, and then I have to bring up proof to back up my claim. Otherwise, it's just another claim. So, really strong story here of how Carl was going through the situation this agency owner might be going through, working late till 11 p.m., trying to pay the bills, got a baby on the way. And then he's now enjoying his first 50K month, which is crazy. Once I brought up these excitement, I brought up the pain, how we're going to solve it. I've brought up the pain we're going to solve. I've backed up the claims. And then this is like the sneaky persuasion part, right? People might be thinking like, oh, cool, triage call, whatever. I'm like, we give you the exact scripts to attract your clients onto triage calls. It's like I'm answering an objection in advance before it's even happened. And the right questions to ask the prospect saying, yes, your pay discovery. Okay, so there's a lot of things going on in this step number 2 with what we've just covered here. So if you need to go back, this little part here is just a sticking mechanism. I really like. Now stick with me for the next few minutes because this is probably the moment you've been waiting for. What is a pay discovery and why they're so effective, and why would anyone want to pay you? So bring up objection. Step 2 of the mechanism. Now you can see where I'm following the same pattern where it's like a story, or it's like some sort of pain point here, and then you give them hope, and then explain that each part of the mechanism solves a specific problem. Yeah, so the problem here was that people gave a bunch of value on the call, and then people would nick off and then steal their ideas for free and implement them. And they're like, far out. I should have paid for that. I'm valuable. I'm actually a consultant. And that's where we can all agree, where I use a comparison. Doctors, lawyers, accountants, they get paid to lay out their plan before they go off and do the work. So why can't you do the same? And that's where we introduce the product. So this is where the product helps you part of this process. So this is the trio. This is the plan part of the mechanism. And again, I'm just laying out all the benefits, how it's going to help you out. And then how it's going to help you out, and then how the product is going to help you do that. That's the important part, because the product is so freaking boring here. I need to help sexifying up, right? So you make a great first impression, so it solidifies your trusted advisor. You take the guesswork out of spotting what your client really needs. You know the right questions, because most people don't worry if the idea of being a strategist sounds a little scary, like anticipating objections. And then literally, there's slides with some of the most basic questions ever, but we're just making it so much more exciting by talking about all this stuff and then saying we're going to give you slides which help you do this. I really hope this is making sense, and I'm so fired up about this because I don't see enough people do this. And you're like, why are you just talking about the product? You need to talk about things that get people excited. Anyways, it's the same process here for prescribe. The final part of the unique mechanism: talk about the problem, bring up the solve it with some proof, and then making it super simple. This is when we get to the next part. You need to recap on the offer, what you spoke about, and what it means to the viewer. Now we've said so much to this person. It's super important that you say, now we've covered a lot here, so let me just recap what you get when you invest. Okay. And I've titled exactly what they're going to call. So this is I really sexified the name of what they're going to get. Okay. You tell them what they're going to get and what it means to them. So they're going to get this, which means, so you're going to get this, which means from the first point of contact to managing the bank, I guide you through step by step and word for word to help you land your first or next dozen pay discoveries. So that's the structure. What they're going to get, what it means to them. What they're going to get, and what it means to them. What they're going to get, and what it means to them. Always thinking about what's in it for me. What's in it for me? Okay. Talk about the offer, restate the guarantee. So this is the offer. explaining why it's at a really good price, then explaining the guarantee again, you can't lose, grand. Knowing how to stand independence and use could be the most life-changing thing you do this year, because think about it. I think I'm going into the future pace now. I am, yes. So this is where I'm future pacing now. How much would your life change if you didn't have to put up with the endless prospect cat and mouse games we're seeing these days? Maybe you're like Carl. I'm recapping on a story they've seen. They've seen Carl. They want to see a success story. Now it's just like I'm really dimensionalizing this and making this super real. Like maybe you're like Carl, the young family working tirelessly late into the evenings. Man, how much your life would change if you didn't feel guilty clocking off at a normal work time. You free up valuable time, and you finally have the opportunity to be more present with friends and family. I do the same sort of structure with the next person who they've seen before. Like, don't feel like you're making this redundant. I think I only use like 5 bits of proof for this whole thing. Same sort of future pacing scenario here. Now's the time to make a decision. You can go one of two ways. This is a salvation close. I can go this to another time. It's like you either go the path you're going right now, or you choose the path of salvation. That's basically what it is, which is the fast way. I always want to be selling speed. Benefits. Recapping the offer. Why we're doing it for a limited time. Close with urgency. Yeah, so why we're capping it at this price and we're shutting it off at this time. Go check out. Boom. So, bring up objections and solve with proof. If you notice how I was intertwining that the whole way through. This is probably the most important part, so that people feel like they need your thing, especially if you don't really have much. You need a unique mechanism. So for us, we did triage, plan, prescribe. And in each phase of triage, plan, prescribe, I bring up the problem. What I do, I bring up the problem and explain how each part of the mechanism solves that specific problem, and then back it up with proof. Then we need to talk about the offer, restate the guarantee, bring up objections, what it means to the person, explain. Great copies, explain stuff as it goes along. Hope you get the picture. And that's how you write a killer VSL. If you want to go check out video number one, it's all about the planning. We talk about the unique mechanism. Video number 2, we talk about the first 6 stages, and today you just watched that. So yeah. Let me go wrap up this video now. So that is it for today's series on VSLs. We've done 3 parts. If you're curious to see the other 2 parts, I'm going to leave that in the link in the description below. But if you haven't seen some other playlists, I've got all about leveling up your email marketing, using copywriting for persuasions. Geez, I spat a lot just then. I hope you saw that. But anyways, if you're new to this channel and you want to learn how to get more customers, make more per customer, and keep them coming back with the power of the pen, one of the easiest ways to do that is with email marketing. So my recommendation to you is to check out this playlist over here, all about email marketing. My name is Jules Dan. Thanks for tuning in.